Surprise yourself with the all-new 252 Suzuki range at Hugo Luna Motors. Suzuki's Japanese quality is ready to stand out and make you feel proud every time you drive. Whether it's the zippy Swift or the adventure-ready S-Cross, enjoy 0% finance, handy tech, safety features and great value as standard. All wrapped in the fun and efficiency of a hybrid. The only tough part? Choosing which car to drive. Visit HugoLunaMotors.ie today, where we're not just different, we're good different. Finance subject to status, terms and conditions apply.
Country Life on Midlands 103. Brought to you by W. Orshaw, Burlington Business Park, Tullamore. Supplier of New Holland's tractors in the Midlands. WOrshaw.ie.
Now, good evening and welcome to Country Life here on Midlands 103, Wednesday, 12th of November 2025. And many thanks for joining me here on the programme. For the next hour, we're going to be bringing you the latest from the Midlands and further afield from the worlds of food, farming and agri-business. Now, do we need to talk about the weather? We always started on the programme, but what a couple of days rain we have had, and especially this evening, driving down here from Burr through to Tullamore. I think it was one of the wettest evenings I've ever driven to the programme in all the years. Can't remember one as bad. Rain absolutely bucketing down. And if cattle weren't in as of yesterday or today, they'll surely be in tomorrow. I think that will see the last few livestock brought in around the Midlands and indeed around the country with that type of weather. Now, this evening's programme in a moment, going to be speaking to Aidan Brennan from the Farmers Journal in advance of their Dairy Day, which is taking place this coming weekend in the University of Limerick. There's a load on offer there. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. Also this evening, lots of other topics to discuss. The annual Nuffield Conference taking place this weekend also. And they have a new chairperson, Leash Lady Grania Dwyer. She's going to be speaking to us about the annual conference and some of the very interesting papers which are going to be published this coming Friday night. We have areas such as TB being a big one and a number of other aspects as well. I always enjoy looking at the different areas of study of the Nuffield Conference, and the Nuffield scholars always go into great detail in really interesting areas of agriculture. The annual Teagasc Beef Conference is taking place on Tuesday next. That's the 18th of November. It's in County Galway in Athenry. This year's theme is Beef Farming 2025, Value, Profit and Renewal. David Argue from Teagasc is going to be speaking to us about the event and the different papers which will be spoken about on the evening. Remember, I attended it, I don't think it was last year, the year before, and there was a really interesting speaker at the very end talking about markets and beef markets, global markets, supply and demand, and there's always some really interesting speakers at that event. It always gets a huge crowd also. The organic farming scheme is due to open again next week, and there are two information meetings coming up. 19th of November in Carlow and 26th of November in the Kilshee House Hotel. Marianne Mulhall from County Laois will tell us about these events and also how you can apply for the upcoming organic scheme. Big numbers went into organics over the last couple of years. I'm sure it's going to be the same again for 2026. Now, a question for you. Are you conscious about people entering your land without your consent? If so, Pat O'Brien from Tullamore, the Farm Business Chair of the ICMSA, will join us a little later to tell us what you can do if somebody ventures onto your land without consent. And obviously this time of the year, hunting season is occurring, so there's more and more visitors, and if they are unwanted, what do you do? Also, a word on the grant in relation to shed damage. You might remember the start of last year after Storm Owen, there was a grant announced by the Minister stating that there would be money made available for roof damage. Now, it was announced to great furore, and this was great, but it actually has never been officially unveiled by the department, and the ICMSA are calling for it. And at this stage of the year, I think it is well overdue. Now, text me on 083 30 10 103 and I'll be happy to put anything to our guests this evening here on the programme. You can WhatsApp that in as well. It's in front of me here if you have any questions. Now, as I said a few moments ago, we are starting with the Irish Farmers Journal's Dairy Day, and we have the dairy editor, Aidan Brennan from the paper with us. Aidan, many thanks for taking my call this evening.
No bother, MJ.
This is a big day you have coming up this coming weekend. Aidan, we have a huge amount of speakers and sessions all throughout the day. Tell us a little bit about it first, I suppose, just venue, timing and why you chose this location.
Yeah, so this year we're moving to UL, to University of Limerick campus, to the sports arena. So it's a massive big hall down there. I think underutilised nationally, actually one of the biggest halls in the country. It's all under one roof. It's all under one level. So that's the real attraction to Limerick for us. Plus, it's a new part of the country. So we've been to Punchestown in the past. We've been to Cork. Now we're moving to the Midwest. And it's really well located because you can get at it from anywhere very easily, whether you're in Sligo or Donegal. You go down the motorway there into Ennis and you're over across then to Limerick. It's just off the M7 motorway, and it's really easily accessible as well from Cork. So I think it's a really good location this year. So that's why we're going. So it's on this Saturday, 15th of November. The doors open at 9 a.m. We're running until about 5 p.m. But the first talks don't start until 10:30. So it's a bit of a hybrid event, MJ. I know you've been down in the past. It's a mix of trade stands and kind of stages then where we've talks going on throughout the day. So we've 2 stages. The talks, as I say, start at 10:30. They go on until about 3:30. But farmers are welcome to hop in and out of those talks as they wish. And in the meantime, then they can walk around. We've about 75 trade stands selling everything from tractors and machinery to, services needed for farm buildings to veterinary products. Everything you need to run a dairy farm will be on show at Dairy Day. So it's a really kind of an informal day, but also very informative because we've got loads of really interesting talks and speakers coming from all over the world to speak at Dairy Day.
Yeah, we'll look through a few different areas of it now. And I agree on your location, though. UL as well, hugely proximate to the Midlands. You're down from County Offaly down to Limerick in under an hour, 45, 50 minutes, depending on what part of the county, and indeed Laois as well, a little bit further from Westmeath, but really, really accessible. And as you say, an ideal location for it. If we're looking at some of these talks, then we'll have a little pop down through them. One that's standing out for me here at the outset is the 5-day week, making dairy work more sustainable. Now, wouldn't every dairy farmer love to just do a 5-day week, yourself included, I'd say, Aidan, but this is what you're speaking about.
Well, this is the challenge we've set for ourselves. So how can you make dairy farming attractive for people to work in? And you see, in every other career and most other careers, it's a 5-day week. Can we do the same on dairy farms? Now, look, it's going to be challenging on many farms to achieve that, particularly where it's an owner-operator and maybe you're milking the average number of cows or a little bit above that. It's hard to have, a full-time employee in that situation. But there are things you can do to make life easier and, maybe only do the minimal work on the weekends and have relief milkers in and all the rest. But it's a challenge we've set the panellists. So we've got Conor Hogan, who's a people and dairy expert from Teagasc. We've got Simon Linsky, who's flying all the way over from New Zealand to discuss this topic and others. And then we have a farmer from Cork, Tom O'Connell, who's implementing this on his own farm. So we're going to have, experts and experience on show to discuss the whole people area and how to best manage people and make dairy farming more attractive for people to work on. Because it is a challenge. We've identified it in the show before. It's not an easy place to work. The hours are long. The days are it's 7 days a week, not just 5 days. But can we make it work into a 5-day week? That's the challenge we've set. And
as you said, Simon Linsky there coming all the way from New Zealand to chat on this. Obviously, he's an international speaker who's going to speak in it. So there's people coming from far and wide. Very, very interesting that you have people coming from such far-flung destinations. But obviously New Zealand, given its dairy pedigree, it's ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our investment. The Farmers Journal investment in the dairy industry is Dairy Day. And we're putting the money behind it. We're bringing people in from France and from New Zealand. There's actually 2 people coming from New Zealand, husband and wife, Simon and Lisa. Lisa is ex-Fonterra. She's now working at home on the farm. So she has lots of experience as well and views to share on various topics throughout the day, actually.
Another area then, and obviously this is the one that's on the lips of dairy farmers up and down the country, milk price. It always is, but especially over the last number of months, last couple of months especially. Milk price on the edge. What's ahead for 2026? Look, this is going to be a very hot topic and a well-subscribed session, I would imagine.
Absolutely. We got more bad news today from Lakeland. So they've dropped their price by 4 cents a litre for October milk supplies. That has come as a big shock because it's on top of the previous cuts as well that have been announced. So this is the topic we're discussing. We've 3 leading experts. The number 1 speaker, I suppose, is Christophe Lafougère. He's coming all the way from France. He is a market analyst with Gira, who are an outfit that's looking at global market trends. So he's world renowned. We also have the CEO of Arnua. Now Arnua are the biggest purchasers of Irish dairy. They're well known for their Kerrygold brand, but they also buy commodity products as well. So Conor Galvin is the CEO, and he's going to discuss what's happening in the dairy market space. And we also have Pat Murphy, who's the CEO of Kerry Dairy Ireland, going to address the milk price question.
And it is obviously going to be a big one, Ed. And I suppose just for our listeners at the moment who are scratching their head a little bit, dairy farmers wondering, where this has come from so quickly. I think that's the issue with it. As I have said many times here in the programme, you're not going to have a crystal ball on the day, but you're going to be putting a hypothesis there for 2026. Is it going to be somewhat good news, hopefully, for dairy farmers, or are we still in the dark a little as to what 2026 will bring?
Well, all the indications are that there's more price cuts to come, unfortunately. Now, anyone that tells you they can predict beyond 6 months, they're not telling the truth, because it is very volatile. But at this stage, I would expect that the speakers will have a fair idea of what it's going to be like next March and April. And they're kind of leading into your peak months then. We know it's not going to change too drastically upwards. It might fall further, although I would say that's unlikely at that point. So it's, look, a lot of the prognosis is you're talking about the mid to high 30s, 30 cents per litre for next year, which is a fair reduction in where it has been this year. And really that's kind of feeding into the fact that farmers now are in a position where they're going to have to cut costs if they're to maintain profitability. And that's one of the sessions we're actually discussing, is cutting costs for 2026. Now, it's not going to be easy, and it's easy for me to come on the show and talk about cutting costs. But if farmers have any hope, of keeping their margin, they're going to have to reduce costs dramatically for next year.
Also, in an really interesting one, I'm looking down through it here, and it's an aspect which not only dairy farmers, beef farmers can speak to as well, how farmers can adapt without losing ground. So obviously, as we know, land is it's the asset which every farmer requires to run their business, but keeping it and maintaining it can be an issue with leasing costs and whatnot. So how can farmers adapt without losing ground? There's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, so it's a key one because there is extra competition for land and space, and some of that's driven by the nitrates derogation, more of it is driven by just general expansion. But it's also like urban creep and other demands on land, such as solar, renewable energy and all the rest. So it's a topic that's going to be discussed throughout the day.
In relation to the event then, Aidan, we'll let you go now. Do people need to book in advance? Can they land down to UL on Saturday morning? How does it work?
Yeah, they can do both. I mean, we would appreciate if people would book in advance so we have a better idea of numbers. They can get their tickets online, www.ifj.ie/Dairy Day. All the details are in this week's Farmers Journal, and anyone that buys the journal or is a subscriber gets tickets for half price. So it's only costs a tenner to get in if you buy the Farmers Journal. So it's a really low cost day out. The day starts itself at 9. Farmers are welcome to come whatever time they want. And of course, you can turn up in the day and we'll let you in as well without having a ticket bought in advance.
An important one as well, just before I let you go, the social aspect of this, especially for dairy farmers working hard all year long, coming into what is a downtime period now for a few weeks before the spring. But nice to get out and about, get cleaned up, go down for the day, listen to people, talk to some colleagues, talk to some people you mightn't have seen for a few years, have a burger, whatever the case may be, but just take a break from the farmyard. Absolutely, really important. It's a good time of year for it. That's why we have it on now. You know, the season is almost over. We're winding down. We're preparing for the winter season and Christmas and the downtime and the dry period. So it's a great opportunity to, as you say, get down there, meet a few people, have a bit of downtime, review the year that was, and I suppose get prepared for the hibernation now that we're going to take place over winter and be prepared then for next spring again. Absolutely. Many thanks, Aidan. No worries, MJ. Thanks very much. Aidan Brennan there from the Farmers Journal. That's going to be a busy day now down in UL on this coming Saturday. So Saturday 15th of November, it's 9 a.m. through to 5 a.m. as Aidan said, and tickets are available in advance, but look, if you pop down as well, I'm sure you will get in, and if you buy the journal tomorrow then tickets are €10, but there's a huge amount there, to be honest, as there is with all of these events. If you were to head to maybe one or two of them, just pick them, the ones that suit you, and go and have a look in advance. Is what I would do before I go to these, and see which ones suit me or which ones would I like to see, because you're not going to get them all. There's stuff on all day long, and some of the sessions cross over with others, but pick two or three that you're interested in, and there's always something to be learned. Always some very, very interesting speakers at these events. Now, coming up after the break, we're going to be talking to Laoiswoman Gráinne Dwyer about the Nuffield Conference taking place this coming weekend, and some very interesting papers are going to be unveiled at it, and we're going to hear about that in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Country Life on Midlands 103.
With W.R. Shaw, family owned and serving the Midlands since 1982, we're Ireland's largest independent agri dealer, specialising in New Holland tractors and parts. With over 40 years' experience, we provide top quality sales, service and support. Visit W.R. Shaw in Tullamore and Carlow or online at wrshaw.ie.
And you're very welcome back to Country Life here on Midlands 103. Now we're moving on to the Nuffield Scholarship, or Nuffield Programme, I should say, Nuffield Ireland. We have the event coming up this coming weekend, and Grania Dwyer is the chairperson of Nuffield Ireland. Grania, many thanks for taking my call this evening.
Thank you very much, MJ, for having me.
You're more than welcome, Grania. We're going to talk about the different papers that are on offer this coming weekend in a moment, but first, always people who are involved in Nuffield are, for predominant part, former Nuffield scholars themselves. So I'm sure you are, Grania. Are you a former Nuffield scholar?
Yes, yeah. Well, actually, what we like to think is that we continue to be Nuffield scholars throughout our time. So I did my scholarship in 1999 with Ger Bergen, a fellow Laois person. Yes. Yeah. And I looked at the role of women in agriculture and access to agriculture. So it was an interesting topic at that time, and I think possibly as relevant today as it was back then. Absolutely.
We still cover it just as much as we did back in 1999, and it's amazing, isn't it, how it's still so relevant today. We're looking at the event coming up this weekend, and it is a day-long event starting at 9 in the morning, running through to the evening, and there are some really interesting topics of discovery and study here. I suppose, Grania, for people who aren't familiar with Nuffield Ireland and the scholarship and how it works, if they've never heard about it before, how would you describe it to them?
Okay, so the Nuffield Scholarship is a 2-year programme, and it's basically a travel bursary to research a topic that is important to the individual. They have 2 years to do it, and they come back then, write a report and present their findings at our annual conference, which is happening, as you say, this Friday. So the bursary is €18,000, and we have several sponsors who were very grateful to for the support. The primary one, well, our premium investors, the FBD Trust, but we also have the Golden Jubilee Trust, Board Via, the IFA, and the Farmers Journal, Lakeland Dairies, MSD, Kerry Group, and Arrivo. So they all contribute and support our programme, and we're, needless to say, indebted to them for that financial support. So it's a really exciting programme, and it allows the individual to travel and experience agriculture and agribusiness on a global stage. And you are travelling, for some of your study, you're travelling with fellow Nuffield scholars from other countries, be it Australia, New Zealand, the States, or some of the French or Dutch scholars. So you're learning from the individuals you're travelling with, and you're also learning from the people that you meet in terms of the exposure to those in agribusiness and farmers, and on a global scale. So some of the farms that our scholars would be visiting would be on a magnitude of several thousand hectares. So very different to what they would experience here in Ireland. So it's about broadening their mind, broadening their education, and it's a wonderful opportunity for anybody that's interested.
Well, as you were speaking there, Grania, I was just saying in my head, travel broadens the mind, and then you literally said that exact line there. But I suppose that is the idea of this, isn't it? That you go out and you see different farms, different enterprises, different business, how things are done in different parts of the world, and there is no better way to learn and to study, really.
Absolutely, and I suppose this study, while you are on part of it is your own personal study, because you still have to research your own personal topic, but equally you're learning and exposing yourself to so many other different ideas and concepts, not just in agriculture. You know, I mean, you have to get yourself around the world also, which there's a learning in that in itself. So, but it is done in a supported manner as well. So yes, it's a great opportunity.
Let's have a chat about the studies and what the scholars have looked at here for this year. So I see we have the first session in the morning, and it's on the area of communication and influence. Molly Garvey and Niall Herson, they present their findings. This is a really interesting area, Grant. You can tell us a little bit about what they looked at.
Yes, so both of those are looking at communication. So Molly is looking at unlocking Ireland's agri-food edge through strategic collaboration, and she's looking at trying to remove the silos in which the discussion around the food value chain, the impact of in the assessment on sustainability of Irish agriculture, and it's trying to get that sort of collaborative approach into the and delivering a kind of a cohesive communication around, in particular, sustainability in the environment and so forth. And then Niall is an interesting one also, who he's asking the question, who tells the farming story best? Mapping the voices that shape the future of agriculture. So he's saying his findings would suggest that the farmers must own their own narrative, and you know, divided representation weakens the influence. So that's where he's looking at is in terms of who's actually telling the farmer story and how best to tell it. So it'll be certainly interesting to hear both of those topics and where and their findings and also their recommendations. So they would be interesting. And then in the section following that, we have three more and returning scholars presenting. One of them is our own John Keane from Laois, and John is really looking at a timely topic and probably one of huge interest to us here, is investigating the routes to eradication of TB. So we're looking forward to hearing what John's recommendations are. We also have Michael Martin. Michael is from Wexford, and he's actually a lecturer in Kildalton Agricultural College, and he's looking at the farm to fork, improving the competitiveness and sustainability of beef in an era of globalization. And then the final paper in that session is Nick Cotter, and Nick is from Limerick. He's from Abbeyfield, and he's looking at the 7 new rules for worm control in sheep. This is against the backdrop of anthelmintic resistance. So lots of changes in that whole area. So again, it'll be really interesting to hear what Nick's findings are on the day. So there are returning scholars. Also, we will have a fireside chat with Laura Burke of the EPA. So while we all know that Laura is Director General of the EPA, but while she will be talking about the EPA and I suppose some of the challenges she has faced in delivering messages from the organisation, what we're really trying to find out as well is about Laura herself, about her leadership abilities. How did she get to where she is after such an impressive and distinguished career, really? I mean, she's retiring, as you know, in January. So it's a great opportunity to get to know Laura Burke, the person, and how at times that she manages to deliver some really difficult messages. So then we'll also on the day be meeting our new scholars. So they have been recently, we've just finished our interview process, and we will be meeting our 2026 scholars. So they come from Leitrim, from Clare, Tipperary, Monaghan and Wexford. So, really good topics again going forward to be discussed and researched at future in 2 years' time at our conference in 2 years' time as they embark on their studies.
So the cycle will continue. Grania, if people are interested in the event, are there still tickets remaining? Is it sold out? Can people attend?
No. We would love to see. We still have plenty of room. The conference is on in the Horse and Jockey on Friday, as you say, and if you go onto the Nuffield Ireland website, you will follow the link and you'll be able to book the conference.
Grania, many thanks for popping on with me and chatting through us. It is going to be a really interesting day this coming Friday, and no doubt you're going to have a big crowd down there. Many thanks, Grania.
And thank you, MJ. Bye.
Grania Dwyer there from the Nuffield Scholarship Programme, Nuffield Ireland, and what interesting papers there are on show this coming Friday. Now, John Keane, Leishman, is going to be talking about TB. I'm going to have John on next week to chat about his paper because he's only launching it this coming Friday, so we couldn't speak about it this evening, but there's that one. I would also like to speak to one of the other scholars, and his name is Michael Martin, not to be confused with another M. Martin. I almost said the other politician's name. But Michael Martin, Farm to Fork, how to keep beef competitive in an era of globalisation. We must have a chat with Michael on the programme in the next couple of weeks in relation to that as well. Be very interesting to see what angle he takes on it. So that's the Nuffield Scholarship Programme and the event, the conference taking place this coming Friday, and it's in Horse and Jockey starting at 9:15. If you're interested, pop on to nuffield.ie and you'll get links for tickets there. Now, coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about the Teagasc National Beef Conference. It's taking place next Tuesday in County Galway. David Argue from Teagasc is going to speak to us about what's on offer at the event, so stay tuned.
Support the Irish Red Cross Gaza Crisis Appeal now. By donating, you'll be directly helping the Red Cross provide emergency medical care and hygiene kits to thousands who are homeless, starving, sick and injured. I'm Ryan Tubridy. What's happening in Gaza is a humanitarian catastrophe. The people of Gaza need your help right now. Give them that help and donate at redcross.ie.
Fall in love with 252 exclusive offers on the Citroën range at Hugo Luna Motors today. Explore our impressive collection of Citroën cars and vans, where advanced comfort, style, safety and reliability all come together. Order your 252 today and take advantage of low-rate finance, a €500 deposit contribution and avail of a free home charger. Book your test drive today at hugolunamotors.ie. Citroën, for everyone, like no one.
Citroën. Country Life on Midlands 103.
Brought to you by W.R. Shaw, where New Holland isn't just a brand, it's our passion. For over 40 years, we've been Ireland's trusted name for New Holland tractors, parts and farm machinery. Whether you need new, used or ex-hire tractors, we've got you covered. wrshaw.ie.
And you're very welcome back to Country Life here on Midlands 103. Beef is the topic for the next number of moments here on the programme, because we're talking about the Teagasc National Beef Conference taking place next Tuesday, and David Argue from Teagasc is joining me to speak about it now. David, many thanks for speaking to me on the programme.
No problem, MJ.
It's the National Beef Conference, takes place next Tuesday, 18th of November in the Raheen Woods Hotel, Athenry, County Galway, kicking off at 5. The headline of this year's event, David, can you give us the theme, please, and we'll crack on from there?
Yeah, absolutely, MJ. So look, we have a very interesting lineup, we'll say, for the evenings we have. So we have two different sessions. As you said, it's kicking off at 5 p.m. Our first session, we'll say, is high-value weanings and breeding for the market, we'll say. So we're going to have Keith Fahy, who is a dry stock advisor based over in Athenry. He's going to chair the evening for us. So we'll say the first speaker we have is David Kenny, who is the head of animal and bioscience in Teagasc and Grange, and he's going to give us a good overview, we'll say, in the managing of the suckler cow before and after calving for better fertility and performance. Then we have Dr. Katie Quigley, who is a geneticist with ICBF, and she's going to give us a better understanding of the myostatin gene and finding that right balance between muscle and easy calving.
Now, I'm gonna ask you in relation to that one, David. You might know a bit more than we know about the myostatin gene, or are you going to learn from Katie on the evening as well? Because it's the first time I've heard that word. What's that chat is going to be about? What in particular?
So look, basically the myostatin gene, MJ, is basically the muscle gene that some cattle carry. So we say different breeds of animals carry different muscle genes. So there's a double muscle. There's there's a double muscle gene there. We say in the Charlie breed it's the Q gene, with the Limousin breed it's the NT gene, and so on. Different breeds carry other genes. So Kay's going to give a good overview on these, and to help manage cows that carry 2 copies of that muscle gene or 1 copy of it, and how to match bulls to suit those cows to reduce calving difficulty, and we fit to still breed that quality weaning that we're looking for.
That's a very interesting area though, David, isn't it? Because look, we all want lots of muscle on these weanlings, want them to grade and whatnot, but you want a cow to calf, unassisted if possible, but definitively you want a live calf on the ground. So it really is a question of balance.
And look, I suppose this year, above all years, MJ, we're really seeing those better quality weanlings. They've been selling very, very well in the market at the moment, was there for an export trade or even for the home market. But again, look, it's all fine and well having these quality weanlings, but we have to calve our cows, in a reasonable way as well to get these calves born on the ground. Because look, as we all know, a big dead calf is no good anyway. So it's not. So it's important to meet that fine balance between calving ease and calf quality as well.
Yeah, and then after Katie, we have John Barry. He's going to be speaking.
John Barry is one of our future beef participants, and he's breeding very good quality weanlings on his farm this last number of years, and he's going to kind of go through with us, what his approach is to breed these quality weanlings. And he sells some of them, at home, and he sells some of them for the export market as well.
After John, then we're going to be hearing from Thomas O'Connor. Tell us what Thomas is going to be talking about.
Yeah, so Thomas O'Connor is a beef finisher down in County Kildare, and he's finishing a lot of animals. And Thomas is going to give us a quick overview, of of what he's looking for when he's buying these animals to finish on farm. So look at easy fleshing, weight for age, health status, all that sort of stuff. So Thomas is going to give us a quick overview of that. And then finally, in that first session, we've got Brendan Egan, who is the mart manager in Castlereagh Mart, and he's going to give us a quick overview, of what the market wants at the moment and how to meet the demand. So look, we all know these weanling sales in the last couple of weeks, or last couple of months even, MJ, they've been on fire, and there's plenty of chat and discussion around export and weanlings at the moment and whatnot. So look, he's going to give us a quick overview of what's happening from his point of view.
Yeah, the second session then, Beef 2025 and beyond. Prices, profits and passing on the farm. I suppose this one, David, is again very topical, as in prices being paid for beef at the moment. Weanlings, as you say, they're astronomical, skyrocket prices, and people are hoping that there's going to be a margin on them. Last time I spoke to you, we were talking about the beef price we'd need for 2026 to even break even, let alone make a profit. And this is where people are thinking, what people are thinking about at the moment.
That's exactly it, yes. And look, this is a very interesting session with MJ, because the question is in everyone's mind at the moment: what way is beef going to go, and what way is the store trade going to go into later on in the autumn time or winter time or into next spring? So look, we're going to have Rupert Claxton. Now, Rupert spoke at the conference a couple of years ago as well, and he was very interesting. So he's from meat director at Gyra, and he's going to give us a quick overview of global meat or global beef market trends, I'd say. And what's driving the prices and where the market is going. So that's going to be a very interesting session, we'll say, after the break. So it is from Rupert. Following on from Rupert, then we've got Trevor Boland, who is a beef farmer and he works for IFAC Accountants. So look at Trevor, I suppose, has the information there firsthand. He's doing both at the moment. So he's going to give us, we'll say, an overview on practical advice and tax planning to stay profitable in the year, and what we say beef farmers could invest on there at the moment, to keep their tax bill relatively low this year.
Yeah, Rupert, I remember I was at the event a couple of years back, David, when Rupert spoke. He was the last speaker of the night, I remember, on both the sessions, and he was probably the best, I suppose. Not that anyone wasn't better or worse, but he was hugely interesting. And I remember reading a few newspaper articles the following week about how interesting his speech was. He's worth going down on his own nearly to
he most certainly is, absolutely, MJ. He absolutely is, yeah.
You have a panel discussion then on, look, the hot topic, generational renewal and beef farming especially. Look, I'm not saying it's not a problem in dairy farming or tillage farming or whatnot, but beef farming, we know the demographic is older. You have lots of older people with maybe no successors there, no direct successors. So this is a really topical one for beef farmers.
Absolutely. And look, it's a very slow discussion, MJ, to have, with the beef farmer. And he's always, maybe slightly reserved, maybe of having that conversation with a son or a daughter. So look, at perhaps, attending that meeting in the evening, he can start to make the correct steps to making a plan, we'll say, to hand over the farm of that. But look, on that session, we're going to have Dr. Emma Dillon, who is an economist with the Teagasc National Farm Survey. Ruth Fennell is going to be there as well, and she is a collaborative farming specialist. Again, Trevor Boland is going to be on the panel as well, from IFAC. And then we're going to have father and son, Eamon and Donica McCarthy, from Youghal down in Cork, and they're suckler farmers, and they've made the steps in the last number of years, we'll say, from a partnership into, handing over the farm in a father and son scenario. So they're going to be, again, a very interesting duo to hear on the night so there.
Yeah, also a very interesting one I just see here on the press release, David, and it's International Men's Day falls on the 19th of November, and there's an aspect of this of health and well-being. I said the same thing to Aidan Brennan about the dairy day that the Irish Farmers Journal are running down in Limerick. No more than your event next Tuesday. There's a great opportunity here for beef farmers who are possibly living on their own, isolated and whatnot, to get out for the evening, chat to people, see what's going on as a social event.
Surely, absolutely. Look, there is indeed, it's they can get what they can get as much as they can from the conference, but we'll say in between the breaks, and we'll say after the conference, there's a great opportunity there, MJ, to speak to different health initiatives. We'll say the likes of Healthy Galway, Taking Stock. They're going to be there in the evening. Cree are going to be there as well in the evening, and also Mental Health Ireland will be there in the evening. So there's a great opportunity there to speak to different health initiatives. So there is. So look, if they come along, they're welcome to have a chat with them.
Very good. David, just before we let you go, give us a time and date again, please.
Yeah, so look, it's next Tuesday, the 18th of November, in the Raheen Woods Hotel in County Galway, in Athenry in Galway, and it's kicking off at 5 p.m, MJ.
Super stuff. Many thanks, David.
Thank you, MJ. Talk again.
David Argue there from Teagasc. That's next Tuesday evening. It's in, as we said, the Raheen Woods Hotel in Athenry, County Galway. It starts at 5 and it will run through to about 8:30, 9. And again, as we said about the dairy one is on this week, so we have a beef one as well. So something for everybody on the programme this evening. I just see here also there are going to be information stands, David said it, with Cree, mental health supports from Mental Health Ireland. There's also going to be foot care advice. You might look at this and you say, what in God's name is this about foot care advice? But this is something I saw an article on a while ago, and it's about how farmers, well, people in general don't take care of their feet. But look, a lot of people aren't standing or walking or using their feet as much as, well, farmers, tradesmen, tradespeople, whatever the case may be. But foot care advice, going to, say for example, a chiropodist a couple of times a year, getting somebody to look at your feet to make sure you don't have any corns or blisters or whatever the case may be that will cause you to be a little bit more tired throughout the course of the day. It's a really interesting one that they're after clicking with this now at the beef conference, and it's something that if you are at it, go and have a chat about it and look into it a little bit as well, because it's something that could make your day more comfortable when you're on your feet all day long. No more than buying a good pair of boots or a good pair of Wellingtons, when you're standing and working on your feet all the time, anything at all that helps you and makes you more comfortable and more productive is a benefit. Now, coming up after the break, we're on the topic of, well, not going to say beef, sheep, organics in general. Could be tillage, could be beef, sheep, could be dairy. Marion Mulhall from Teagasc is going to be telling us just about the organic scheme and how it's opening in a couple of weeks' time. And also Pat O'Brien from the ICMSA has a word about unwanted visitors on the farm. If you see somebody on your farm whom you didn't invite in, what do you do? Stay tuned and we are going to find out.
Country Life on Midlands 103.
With W.R. Shaw. Looking for the best in farm machinery? We've been supplying top quality New Holland tractors and parts and providing service since 1982. Our expert team is here to keep your farm running smoothly with branches in Tullamore and Carlow. Visit wrshaw.ie today.
And you're very welcome back to Country Life here in Midlands 103. We'll be speaking about organics in a moment, but in advance of that, Pat O'Brien from the ICMSA, we have a couple of different areas to speak about. Pat, we're going to kick off with storm damage last year, and we're still well in 2025, but we're still waiting on an official grant from the Department of Agriculture. Can you fill us in, please?
That's correct, MJ. Back in March, the Minister announced that there would be a grant available later in the year to repair roofs of sheds that were damaged in Storm Elwyn. And to date, there's been no progress. He said himself at the time that grant aid was important to ensure that farms were more resilient for future storms. And cattle were being let out at the time, and now they're going back into the sheds, especially after the last couple of days' rain, and there's been no progress made. So what are farmers to do now? If you repair the shed, you won't get grant aid, and the farmer and the livestock is at risk of vulnerable structures, and they're also exposed to that elements. So we're calling on the Minister to introduce the scheme without further delay, and farmers should be allowed to proceed with repairs now and be in advance of the storms, and with the assurance that the funding will follow. So
absolutely,
that's basically where we are. And we're also calling for flexibility in the schemes, because the criteria, the grant requires full roof replacement, and in some cases that wouldn't be necessary. And if part replacement does the job, that should be covered. It's more economic value to the farmer and to the department, because the funds will be limited.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. I think quite right with that request. Also, just quite briefly, Pat, I mentioned at the start of the programme, unwanted visitors on the farm. There's a little change in the rules on this. If you see someone on your farm, Pat, and you didn't invite him or her on to your holding, what should you do?
Call 999 or 112 and report it. And the Gardaí are asking people to report any incidents to them, and don't approach them and don't engage with them, because you don't know who or what you're engaging with. So look, the Gardaí have changed tact. They're prosecuting these guys under the Wildlife Act now instead of under the Trespass Act. So the farmers don't have to give evidence or anything. They don't have to go to court, so they can't be intimidated. All they have to do is call the Gardaí, report where they are, and rather than contact the local Garda station, if you call 999 or 112, the calls are recorded and will definitely be followed up on.
Yeah, very good.
Now, under the Wildlife Act, they also have the powers to seize dogs, vehicles and equipment for the likes of these night vision goggles, which are worth a pretty penny. There's not too many lads going around with them, but these guys have them. So it's up to these hunters to prove that they have permission to be on the land, and if they can't, they're liable to prosecution straight away. So the ball is in the Gardaí's court rather than in their court.
Yeah, very good, Pat, and great bit of information there, I have to say. I'm going to just shoot, Pat, and I'm going to say many thanks for joining me here on the programme. We're very caught on time. Thanks to Pat O'Brien there from the ICMSA, and I'm going to move over quickly to Marion Mulhall from Teagasc. We're going to talk about organics now for the last few minutes of the programme. Marion, thanks for joining me here on Country Life.
Thank you, MJ.
We are speaking about organics, Marion. Big push and a big surge in the organic farmers up and down the country, including the Midlands, over the last couple of years. It's opening shortly. Are we going to see a big push again? Are there going to be big numbers going into it, do you feel?
It'll be a little bit different this time around, MJ. Unfortunately, the budget that has been allocated for 2026 is a good bit less than it has been for the last 3 years. So as a result of that, then it is going to be targeted to tillage farming sector with a little bit of a target, I suppose, towards horticulture and perhaps dairy. We're expecting it to open any day this week or early next week, so we don't have the terms and conditions yet, but that's the indication that has been given, and that
is purely based on the budget that has been given for the coming year, and I suppose it's based then on what sector or what's needed most in the organic sector, and certainly organic feed is very much needed, and that's why the target is towards the tillage sector this time around.
Yeah, it's a shame, Marianne, though, that the budget is being reduced, because if we look at our greenhouse gas emission targets for 2030 and indeed 2050, organics is a great step in that direction. So it's a little bit short-sighted, but look, not going to be the first time the Department of Agriculture have been short-sighted. We're not going to talk about policy here in the programme, but it's unfortunate.
Yes, it is, and I suppose, absolutely. And look at we're in a biodiversity crisis also, and from the emissions, biodiversity, and all the environmental pressures that are coming on us. Is sometimes you wonder how things don't maybe quite add up, but that's where we're at, really. Yeah.
Now, that's not to say, though, Marianne, if you are a beef or a sheep farmer and you're interested in organics, by all means apply. Like, you may get selected, you may not, but it doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose, unfortunately, I thought I would have the terms and conditions for tonight, and they just haven't been issued yet. So we're not even 100% sure that what will categorise as a tillage farmer. So, if you have a mixed enterprise of cattle and sheep with tillage, we just don't know what area of tillage will I suppose, get you over the line on this. So I would say, we'll have that information, as I said, any day now, and we'll know more. So if you just wanted to contact myself or any of the organic advisors in the next few days, we'll have that more information. We'll be able to steer farmers a little bit better on it.
And you do have a couple of information evenings coming up, and I'm sure at that stage, more than likely, that information will be available. Can you tell us about those, please, Marianne?
Yeah, so next Wednesday is the first of them, and that one is Wednesday the 19th of November in the Seven Oaks Hotel in Carlow at 7 o'clock. And then then the following Monday, then the 24th, there will be another meeting down in Mitchelstown in the Fairgrove Hotel. And then a little bit closer to our area here on Wednesday, the 26th of November, we'll be having a meeting in information in the Killashee Hotel in County Kildare. And look, on those, we'll have farmer panels there to share kind of experiences as well, But I'd just like to say on the tillage side as well, MJ, maybe a lot of tillage farmers out there don't realise that there is a partial tillage conversion option there as well. So you don't have to put all of your land into organic on the tillage side if you have a tillage enterprise. And that's really helpful and useful, that I suppose you can take a little baby steps into organics rather than going head first in, especially, tillage is a high input system and a lot of inputs going in. So you can kind of test the water and set up a system and figure out the challenges there with a little bit less risk, really. And I think the way I would pitch it to any tillage farmer is to maybe consider the partial tillage option, organic going partial tillage in organics. Consider it as a high value crop that's actually going to give you a good return from a profit point of view, a little bit like the way you would have considered malt and barley or oilseed rape or a seed crop previously. You kind of, they're in a rotation and you say, oh, well, we know we're going to make extra profit on that oilseed rape crop or a seed contract. And that's the way I'd view organic tillage. Costs are very, very low, and we know that we're able to get a very good price for per tonne, albeit that the yield is back on a per acre basis. But your profitability on a per acre or a per hectare basis is very good. And then you have an organic payment, per hectare payment on top of that as well.
So lots and lots to think about there, Marianne. I'm just out of time, and I'm going to say many thanks for joining me here on the programme. Wednesday the 19th in Carlow, Wednesday the 26th in the Killashee House Hotel, and lots to talk about there. Many thanks, Marianne.
Thanks, MJ.
Marianne Mulhall there from Teagasc. And if you are thinking about organics, terms and conditions will announce in the next couple of days. And look, if you pick up the phone, give a buzz to your local Teagasc office or indeed your local advisor, they can steer you in the right direction. Now, that is it for this evening's programme. Thanks to Marianne and thanks to Pat O'Brien there from the ICMSA. We also had David Argue from Teagasc. Gráinne Dwyer talking about the Nuffield conference taking place in the Horse and Jockey this coming Friday. And Aidan Brennan from the Irish Farmers Journal giving us all the details about Dairy Day in UL. That is it for this evening's programme. I'll be back with you next Wednesday evening as always at 7 p.m. Shows repeated on Sunday morning 7 a.m. through to 8 a.m. Get us wherever you get your podcasts. If you type in MJ space Clery, Clery, we will pop up and you can listen at your leisure. Joe Cooney is up next with Country Roads. I'll speak to you next week.